Welcome everyone to another Conversations in the Void. I'm your host, Graveyard, joined as always with my off-screen producer, Salem. Make sure to say hi to Salem in our chat. But I'm pleased to introduce our guest for tonight. He's a director, writer, actor with works including Mankind's Tape, The Lonely Man with the Ghost Machine, and Organonym. I don't know if I said it right, but please welcome to the show, the one and only Graham Skipper.
Hello.
How are you on that? How are you on that pronunciation?
Close? Oh, terrible. It's Organonym, but this is my fault. This is my fault because I just decided to title my movie a made-up name that's unpronounceable. So I'm really great at marketing.
Yeah, it's my last name is really unpronounceable. That's why I just go by Graveyard. So that's all good. But welcome. Like I said, we just had Joe on last week. Or no, sorry, not Josh on last week.
Josh. Yeah. Josh, and then Joe. We got to get Joe on. Where's Joe?
I know. We had another show lined up, but tornado came through our area last week, and we were up without power for like 5 days.
Oh no! Well, I'm glad you're back from that point.
Yeah. Well, my parents finally got power back yesterday. My in-laws still don't have power. When 90% of your state area is without power, there's a big issue.
Yeah, that's bad.
You guys keep your tornadoes down there in Texas, all right?
We have our own issues.
But Graham, before we get into you and your works, let's get to know you a little bit more. What really brought you into the world of horror? Do you recall your first horror movie you watched?
So I was always a horror kid. I grew up, I like to thank my dad for introducing me to horror. He got me when I was a kid, this, a pop-up book that was a Universal Monsters pop-up book. It was totally spooky. I actually have it in the other room. I've kept it all these years. And I was so into that. And I remembered like on Halloween, I would like see Frankenstein or Dracula on the TV, and I would be too scared to watch them, but I'd be really intrigued. So my dad then got me this big picture book that was, again, it was the Universal Monsters, but it was also like Jason and Freddy and Leatherface and Pinhead and all this stuff. And so I would look at pictures and read about them and get really scared. But that's what got me interested in like the characters and the iconography. And what I like to say was my horror origin story was I was like 10 or 11, and my young brain was thinking, okay, I want to watch these movies. I'm too scared to watch these movies. So if I watch the scariest movie ever made first, everything else will be super easy. Yeah. So my dad, what's the scariest movie ever made? He said, I think it's The Exorcist. So I watched The Exorcist with my parents at like 10 or 11 years old, scared the shit out of me, totally wrecked me. But the next morning, all I wanted to do was wake up and watch it over again because I wanted to see how they did that. And so I really credit William Friedkin a lot for just making me interested in the artistry of horror. And from there, total horror kid my whole life.
Yeah, definitely. Same boat. I remember watching, when the local mom and pop video store we had growing up, its horror section was a separate part of the building that you had to like show ID to get into, but they had, like the beaded doors, but you're able to see Freddy and Jason. Like I remember being like 3 or 4, just being absolutely terrified of them. But that one point in time during a family reunion, we had a viewing of Child's Play. I was like 5 and loved it. My sisters were scared to death, and that's why I have to have Chucky right
Hell
here.
Yeah. There's our little guy.
Yeah. It's awesome. So you talk about, Exorcist being the first, big, best, scariest horror movie. What do you think is the most underrated horror movie IP or franchise in your opinion?
The most underrated
IP
or franchise? That's a really good question. Gosh, I'm looking at my Blu-ray shelf right now. I mean, so the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is my favorite movie of all time, and I really like all of those movies. A lot of people like to hate on some of those movies, and I have deep love in my heart for all of them. I mean, are they all the same quality? No, but what other franchise is all the same quality? I mean, the other one that I could definitely say would be Hellraiser. About once a year, I watch all the Hellraiser films. I love all of them, unironically. I don't care what people say. I don't understand the hate for the later ones. it's just such a weird mythology and such a weird like cosmology that it's dealing with. And the fact that I love late entries and franchises where obviously they're just taking random scripts and like plugging Pinhead into them. I love that stuff. You know, it's just as much about the making of the movie as it is about whatever the movie is. And I just love it. I love the business of making movies. I love the act of making movies. And then I love seeing what people do when they've totally run out of ideas.
Yeah, we did the entire Hellraiser thing on another show we do where we review horror movies. We call it the Hellraiser syndrome, where they just have another script and then there's Pinhead for 15 seconds. Boom, Hellraiser.
Yeah, it's great.
And you know, J.J. Abrams did that with the Cloverfield, obviously, as well. Sure. Like, here's a whole other movie, and let's make it Cloverfield. Why? Sure, why not?
Why not? Yeah,
yeah. It's you know, you said Hellraiser and Texas Chainsaw. There are wildly different pieces of it, but overall, yeah, Texas, I think, is a great franchise as a whole. Then, so Graham, on the flip side, what's the most overrated movie IP franchise that you just don't get all the, let's say, billions of dollars that gets made from it?
Gosh, I mean, I fully admit I tend not to go too much into the overrated stuff or like thinking about overrated things because it's really hard to make a movie. That said, there's a lot of overrated stuff out there. I don't know. I'm not going to say it's overrated, but like, because I'm genuinely glad that people like these movies. They are not for me. I think Terrifier franchise. Yep. These movies are not for me. And again, I'm not saying they're bad. It's not a judgment call. It's just not a franchise that's like necessarily what gets me going. But I want to be very clear. It thrills me when a horror franchise, especially one that starts as such an indie level, becomes so popular because it just breeds more, I think, bravery on the part of investors to want to put money into these horror franchises where even though horror has never gone away, like people always claim it has, once in a while you need like a big hit to remind people that it's still here. And Terrifier definitely did that. So very happy with all the people involved. And I know some of the people involved. I love it. Just not really my style, but certainly wouldn't call it overrated. I don't know. Everybody's got their own, got their own kink. I don't game around here.
It's, you know, my wife and I, we've discussed this when the first Terrifier came out. She's like, I don't want to watch it. But like, for I watch it, I'm like, it's a love letter to 80s slashers. Like, we grew up on 80s slashers. We had no issues with it. But now she says, as a parent and seeing all this stuff, she's like, she just doesn't do that body horror anymore. And you're right, it is an independent horror film, and he did 3 shorts and 3 different attempts to get it off the ground. With it all had All Hallows Eve and then the first Terrifier, very, very independent. And it's just good to me a callback of the first Evil Dead, Texas Chainsaw, all Halloween were all independent horror films, and that we're able to create franchises of it. We all aspire to have that happen with us, but I can understand it. It's just, it is gory for the sake of gore,
which can be fun.
Great.
And and I'll tell you this: I've seen the first 2, and I will say, I mean, even though it might not be for me, the artistry on display in terms of the gore effects and stuff, top notch. Like, they know what they're doing.
Yeah. It just always is. I make independent horror films as well, and like we only have indie horror. We have one shot takes that we have one shot. I'm just looking at that stuff. I'm like, man, just to have to reset all that is insane. It's amazing. Like we had Mick Strong on here who worked on this art designer for like a couple of Nightmare on Elm Street, and he did the opening scene of Blade with the blood rain. And he goes, that reset was like, have to reset it. Takes like a week to clean up.
I'm sure. Reset. God. But it looks awesome. I think so.
I think it's like 8 or 9 weeks just to do those scenes. That's crazy. But Graham, let's get into you and you. So how did you get into filmmaking and acting and writing?
I've always been an actor. So my dad was an actor. He was on like General Hospital and like did the
Mhm.
soaps and stuff. And I grew up doing a lot of community theater. I was a musical theater kid. And then I ended up going to college in New York City for theater acting. Um, and from there, I started doing a lot of like underground off Broadway theater in New York. And I was pretty heavily in the sketch comedy scene and improv
Mhm.
scene up there. Through that, I became friends with George Wendt. May he rest
Mhm.
in peace. And he ended up recommending me to come out to LA and audition for Stuart Gordon to be in Reanimator the musical. And so went out, met Stuart, auditioned, got the role of Herbert West, and then that led me to LA, and that's how I met Joe Begas, and then everything
Yeah.
from there. So I have George and Stuart to thank for my entire career.
Mhm.
But it was great because I was always a horror kid. I used to tell people when people would be like, who, if you could be any star, who would you want to be? And most people would say like Tom Cruise or, whatever, like some really super famous whatever. And my two answers were always Bruce Campbell and
Yep.
Robert Englund. Bruce Campbell, Robert Englund. Those were the two
Yes.
answers. And so then, when I got a call from Stuart Gordon, after totally freaking out, then getting to work with him, get immediately introduced to the whole horror community, get to become instant friends with Joe, who completely
Mhm.
schooled me on. I thought I knew my shit when it came to horror. And I was like, he was like, so like, what do you like? And I would go, have you ever heard of a movie called Suspiria? And he would like actually laugh at me and would hand me like a DVD inside and say, go have fun.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so I owe Joe a lot to my education as well, or owe a lot to Joe.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how I got involved in horror films. Joe
Yeah.
cast me Almost Human, and then
Yep.
off we went. And it was one of those things where I have that's always been where I wanted my career ultimately to go, and it's ultimately like where the movies I wanted to direct, were these genre films because that's the stuff that I want. I have a huge wall of Blu-rays behind me that it's one of my pride and joys, and
Mhm.
I it's the stuff that I just love consuming, and I love getting introduced to new things. And so the independent horror world, it's really been a blessing for me. I love it. I love being a part of it. I love seeing what people put out there. It's a great time for horror.
It really is, and this is why I do the show too, and another show. We go back and to talk about movies that we missed growing up because if your local place didn't have it, you just didn't get to see it, right? It's unfortunately how it was, and now there's so many movies. I think, especially in horror, in the '80s, that have been lost to us. That it's just like a copy of a copy of a copy of a VHS,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing what you're able to find. I have a big Laserdisc collection of horror films.
Oh yeah.
And there's so many on there that never been converted to Blu-ray or DVD or 4K.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I would love to do it myself. I could do it, I guess. I could record off my Laserdisc and do that, but it's just a lot of work. But yeah, independent horror, I love. Completely agree. Bruce Campbell's what I always said. Like I'd do Bruce Campbell in a heartbeat. I would, be him in horror films. Like that's my aspiration. I tell my guys, I'm like, I just want to be covered in blood in every film that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But because you mentioned on being in as Herbert West in the musical, what was that like for you? Did you study Jeffrey Combs and kind of take his mannerisms, or were you able to kind of make him your own?
One of the very first things that Stewart said to me, he was very clear. He said, I do not want you to do a Jeffrey Combs impersonation. He said, I
Mm.
want this to be your Herbert. This is a different Herbert. Do your own thing. And so I decided just not to watch. I had seen the movie before, but I said, I'm just
Yeah.
not going to watch the movie. I'm just going to treat it like a role, and I'm going to let it build up from the DNA of the character like I normally would. And with Stuart and through rehearsal, like we found my Herbert. My Herbert's a little bit bigger. He's broader than Jeffrey Combs. He's my Herbert is a little more manic, a little more explosive. Um,
Mm.
and that was all like stuff that we built together. And then towards the end of the rehearsal process, Stuart encouraged us to then go back and watch the movie at that point, right before we opened, because
Yeah.
he wanted it. There were a few little beats, a few little moments, the tapping on the head with the pencil, don't expect it to tango. It has a broken back. These little moments that he was like, we need to hit a few things because fans are going to want them, but we don't, but we want to we just want to hit them casually. We don't want to call too much attention to them. And so that's what we did. And I'm really glad that he wanted to approach it that way. He was very clear. He didn't want it to be an impression.
Yeah. I always find that to be tremendously like a huge undertaking to portray an iconic character like that that's already been in existence.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up heavy watching that. I'm like, that would be a hard role today.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but again, there's also something freeing about it because I knew the choice I was making, right? And I knew that Stewart was backing that choice. And
yeah,
it's funny because I mean, there were some early reviews of it. I remember one in particular. I won't name the outlet, but there's one online outlet that really hated the show and hated me and was like, he's no Jeffrey Combs, whole thing.
Yeah.
And I knew those were going to come, right? Like because I wasn't Jeffrey Combs. Nobody's Jeffrey Combs. Like he's a fucking icon. But I was vindicated a little bit later on where that same reviewer came back and saw it like the next year and sort of amended, what they were saying. And and I appreciated that they did that. But yeah, I mean, there were a few haters, I guess, but for the most part, I mean, and this is so true, like of the whole horror community in general, and it's part of why I love them, is it's so welcoming. And everybody that I've met at least is so cheerful and sweet and encouraging and supportive. Really some of the best people I've ever met in my life. A really, really special group. So I'm very thankful for the fans as much as I am, my colleagues.
Yeah. Would you ever want to play Herbert West in a movie?
Oh, sure, I would. Yeah, I mean, I have long hoped for Reanimator the musical movie. I thought that would be great. I know a few people online have bandied about things like son of Reanimator and things like that, and how that would be fun. Of course, now I'm in my 40s. I was in my 20s then.
Yeah,
I'm in my 40s. So I guess I'd just be, old Herbert West now. I don't know what I'd be, but I would love to. Hi everybody, I'm here.
Because I know we were supposed to get a Reanimator where he becomes president or over.
Well, he doesn't become president.
He was going to like mind control the president.
Yeah, right? he was going to the president was dead, and he was going to reanimate the president.
Yeah. Still want that to happen. You could do that.
I know. I wish. That'd be great.
Yeah, for sure. Now, talk about sequence break here. Do you have a deep-seated love of arcades that will help you create sequence break?
Oh yeah, I do. I mean, look what I got. I mean, yeah.
Nice.
I'm always been a big arcade head. I love arcade games. I have a couple of them. My dad bought an Addams Family pinball machine when I was like a kid, like straight when it first came out. And
really?
I had one growing up my whole life. I still have it. And so yeah, I love them. And with Sequence Break, it was that was born from me loving Cronenberg and wanting to play in that sort of weird psychedelic body horror space. Loving arcade machines and video games in general. And also being inspired by the urban legend of Polybius, which I read about like way long ago in high school in whatever forums there were for such things.
Yeah.
Days,
Yeah.
And so it was all kind of born from that. But yeah, I mean, I love it. In fact, I still have in my garage, I have the machine we used in Sequence Break. I turned it into an actual arcade machine. It's one of my prized possessions.
Nice. Yeah, I have behind my green screen here. I have the Rampage 1-Up arcade machine there, nice. And I converted it so it has authentic arcade parts inside of it, and I have a Raspberry Pi, so I can play all the arcade games.
Oh, that's great
on it as well.
That's great.
What is the best arcade game in your opinion?
Oh, the best arcade game. Gosh, the best. That's really hard. I mean, if we're including pinball machines, the Addams Family pinball game is pretty fucking great. I am also gonna say love Splatterhouse. That's a fabulous game. I love House of the Dead. That's a great game. A little bit repetitive. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I love all those games, but pinball is, I think, really my heart and soul. Like pinball is just a very, I love how tactile it is. I love how immediate it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some of the most fun you can have is playing pinball just all day long.
Have you ever been to the Galloping Ghost outside Chicago?
I never have, but I've heard of it, and I would love to go. Next time in Chicago, you got to take me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to go once a year when it first opened up, just because it's so fun. It grows so big each and every year.
Yeah.
They have like 1,000 machines, if not more.
God.
And they keep running out of space. And they have a separate pinball room now too.
Great. There.
Yeah. I actually never been to the pinball side. I don't know if it's just free play until you get tired of it, like the games are, but I remember going there and playing all the games I threw so many quarters into just to beat, like, the Dungeons and Dragons games, Simpsons Arcade.
Well, speaking of Rampage, one time I was on a free play Rampage, and I mean, this is back in college, and I just said, I'm going to beat this game. I'm going to beat it. And I beat it. It just ends and says, you won. So a little disappointing, but I did it.
Yes. Yeah. Come up to Chicago. We'll take you up there. It's a lot of fun. I usually go
overdue for a visit to Chicago.
You are. So we'll have to get you one of our films too, Horror Dads, while you're up here too. But yeah, so you work being, in front of the camera, behind the camera. Do you have a preference of where you're at, front or behind?
Oh, I mean, I love both. I mean, my newest movie, Organonym, I'm both in front of and behind. And I mean, it's a hard job, but it's also like, I think for certain roles, at least for me, it's appropriate in certain circumstances. But I love both. They're so, they're different adventures. Acting is a lot easier, in my opinion. You have one job, you focus on it, you do it really well, and then it's kind of done,
Right.
and you just wait for it to come out. Directing, you're solving a lot of problems, and you are everything. You're in charge of everything, right? So that's definitely more of a challenge, but it's also in a lot of ways more rewarding, because at the end of the day, like, here you have this thing that you've crafted, and whether or not people like it, who the fuck cares? Like, this is the thing you birthed.
Right.
Yeah. So I love both. And I'm very grateful that I've gotten to do both. And over the years that I've been able to surround myself with very talented people that have helped me to continue to make them.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot of fun. You said it's even a wonder that movies ever get made, just because of all the work that actually goes into it. Pre and post is always the most time consuming to do of anything. And when I was in high school, I was in theater and drama, so I was learning set design and acting, but also learning sound, lights, all that stuff, writing, directing too. Because I'm like, I like to see what I'm able to do with both sides here. I was in plays, but never the musicals, because I can't sing or dance as a Dutch guy. So just not in my nature to be able to do those things. But the non-musical plays is definitely in. But I led and directed the whole horror Halloween showcase we did. We did multiple skits and throughout the entire night, and different people writing and directing. It was just a lot of fun. So I just remember someone did like the Monty Python Black Knight scene. And we throwing body parts down from the ceiling as they're doing.
That was another really formative horror movie for me as a kid. Was my parents had a party to watch Monty Python's Meaning of Life when it came out on VHS, and I remember watching the Grim Reaper scene from behind the couch and just being terrified by it.
That's awesome. But you also were part of a comedy troupe. Fucked, is that the name?
It was called Fucked, F-U-C-T. Yes, I was. We sort of likened ourselves to like Jackass on stage. We did a lot of physical stunts. We like to think of ourselves as doing some more like avant-garde weird comedy. Definitely took a lot of inspiration from like Kids in the Hall, Monty Python, Mr. Show, stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun, and we got super weird and, tried to push some boundaries. And, you know, it ended up introducing me to George and, you know, and some of my very best friends to this day. I mean, we're all in touch. I was talking to two of them today. So love those guys and those gals, and, you know, creating your own work from the ground up, like in whatever medium. And for me, it was comedy. It just taught me the importance of learning how to do everything. You know, you're not above any of the dirty jobs on a set. And you learn immense respect for the role that every single person does. And that's ultimately what I think you have to do to survive in independent film as much as an independent theater. Is you just, if you need it, you have to build it. Like you can't just wait, because if you're just waiting, then you'll wait forever.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for those years doing sketch in New York. It taught me a lot, and also taught me how to be braver than I think I am.
Yeah, that's good. And, you know, comedy, it's amazing that we think of people that do comedy like, oh, Jordan Peele's gonna make a horror movie. How scary and horror can it be? But comedy, it's the same beat. You set it up, and then you have the punchline. Horror, you have the build up, the suspense, and then the payoff. And I think they work wonderfully well together. And a good horror comedy is even harder to pull off.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's the troops of it. It sounds like fun. The most thing we ever did in high school theater was we did scenes from Fight Club, and then we did a car crash, and we threw ourselves off the stage into chairs.
See, that's really doing it. You really do it.
Yeah, we were backyard wrestlers at the time too, so we were used to throwing ourselves off of things.
There you go.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a lot of fun. I wish I had continued it and didn't wait 15 years to pick this back up in my life. But
well, look, better late than ever. And I don't know. I think we all need art in whatever capacity in our life, and to create in whatever capacity we can. And, you know, this is just bringing about more good. And I hope that, I don't know, people are laughing and smiling and decide to go watch some weird shit later. It's great.
I hope so. And you said earlier too that the independent horror crowd is just a great community. You know, I go to a bunch of cons in the Chicago area, and I love meeting new people, and people like, you know, their first con, stuff like that. And I have them on the show. They're like, I've never done a podcast before. I'm like, come on, you're welcome here. You can do this. And then they get confident, they're able to do more stuff. We just like to help promote, you know, in the indie world too. Indie support indie, and like to just see people grow and just promote them as much as we can.
Yeah.
All right, Graham, we're getting some roundup questions here. Got to ask of all, what's your favorite scary movie?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Number one, hands down.
Number one, hands down. Easy.
What's the second best Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
The second best Chainsaw Massacre. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be controversial and say Next Generation.
Ooh. Do you think it's McConaughey?
Yeah, love it.
Do you think anyone, if anyone dresses up as McConaughey with the remote for his leg, would anyone know who he is when they dress up for Halloween?
So one person would, and that's all that matters.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a definitely unique take on that franchise. It kind of it stopped it for like 8 years, I think it was.
Yeah,
but it came back and still going today. Did you like the new one that came out on Netflix?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I think it was good. I think it was a good return form. It wasn't the prequels. I didn't necessarily care for all the prequels that we got.
I liked the Marie Bastillo prequel. I liked that one. I know a lot of people hate that one, but I liked it. I dug it.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Graham, practical or CGI?
I mean, come on, you know the answer to that.
Yeah,
practical.
I have to ask. We were two people have only ever said, you know, CGI on the 140 shows, so it's fun. I liked it. It's always practical. It's most nerve-wracking, but it looks the best on camera.
Yeah, agreed.
If you could work in any existing IP or franchise, what would it be?
I'd want to make a Hellraiser movie. Yeah, I want to make a movie. Oh yeah. That cosmology goes deep, and I'd want to get really weird with it.
Really weird, like weirder than it's ever been.
Oh yeah, I mean like altered states weird. Like I'd want to go like Ken Russell's Hellraiser. Like that's what I want to make.
I'll watch that for sure.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, let's do it. Make it happen. Graham, any advice for people getting into the field of acting, directing?
Get on set and do it all. You know, don't wait for anybody to give you something. Get out there, make it. You know, being on set and working with people that you know, whose work you admire, you learn all the time. Work begets work. And you know, and go to film festivals, see new movies, visit with filmmakers. You know, that's really what introduced me to the larger world of the horror filmmaking scene. As I got the opportunity through Almost Human to go to a whole bunch of film festivals, and I did that. And I met so many people along the way. Was inspired by so many people. And it's all those connections that you make that end up, you know, forging what ultimately has become a career for me. So do that, and don't be afraid to get fucking weird. Do what you want to do. You know, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah, it's and you like I said, you get to work with the same people a handful of times now, and like to me, I work with the production team, and we have the same actors come in. Like it's just like we're having a little mini reunion.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And making a movie.
You get a shorthand with those people. You know, me,
Yeah.
Cole, and Josh, like we work so well together at this point, you know, and Mercer and like and all the, you know, Bria Grant, I've worked with her a ton. Like we get that you get a shorthand with those people that ends up becoming a it just makes the whole process that much easier, makes the whole process that much more fun and that much more effective. You get so much more out of it.
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
Yeah, like I said, we just the first 2 weekends of August we just filmed something, and it's just fun. Even the guy's only 70 miles from me, and like, you know what? We're gonna get bloody. We're gonna speak great time.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, Graham, you're for your random horror trivia question.
Let's do it.
All right. Zach Galligan stars in what 1988 film about a group of college students who get trapped in the wax museum with Count Dracula and Marquis de Sade?
Is it Zach Galligan?
Yeah.
Does it give it a year? Did he give a year for the film?
88.
1988?
Yeah.
About a wax? I mean, is it no, it's not House of Wax. 88? Gosh. Terror at the Wax Museum.
Close. Waxworks.
Waxworks, of course. Waxworks. I was like, yeah, it's not House of Wax, and it's not Tourist Trap. It's like, yeah, what the fuck is it? Well, nice. Waxworks. Good movie.
Yeah, we did a whole wax thing, so it's episode. But before we go, Graham, where can people find you, follower, and give us promotions for your next film that you have coming out too?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on Instagram at Skipstagram, Graham spelled like my name, Graham. And then Organonym, yeah, we are in post on it right now. It's being released through Antenna Releasing. So if you watch my Instagram and if you follow Antenna Releasing on Instagram, you'll get all the info there, and hopefully we'll have news about a release soon. But first, gotta finish the thing. But then out into the world we will be.
Awesome. And when it's out, after it's out for a little bit, we'll have to have you come back on. We can discuss it.
I cannot wait to discuss it.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, Graham. Really much appreciated. And for anyone new here, follow us on all social media at Pilot of the Night. We'll see you next time. And don't get lost in the void. Good night.